Welcome to our series, Reflection on the Life of Joseph. Few minutes reflecting on the beautiful life of Joseph. I know he lived many, many centuries ago, but as we often say, there are lessons for us today. What I want us to look at today is that, and I wish I could give you another topic or presentation. There is no excuse for sinning. I'm not saying when you sin you must be killed, but I'm saying there is no excuse for sinning. Now, as human beings, whenever we fail, I think the first thing that we want to do is as if we are programmed to do that. You want to find a reason why you failed. And not just a reason, but a reason you can use to justify your failing. A reason you can use to justify your falling. When you could not withstand temptation, then you have to say, no, it was because it was too much. No, it was because I couldn't do this. No, it was because of this. But I want to promise you, there is no excuse for sinning. Now, if you look at the life of Joseph, that's the first thing that confronts you if you look very carefully. Now, Joseph could have had several excuses why he could have yielded to temptation. First of all, when faced with Mrs. Potiphar, Joseph was alone. He was lonely. He was single. He was in a country where he was a foreigner. He has been there for 10 years. I'm sure he had no friends. I don't know. I don't hear Joseph's friends. All I know is that the Lord was with him. As a social human being, he probably would have had times where he felt alone. So if now he's being tempted by Mrs. Potiphar, he could have had an excuse that says, well, what was I supposed to do? I was lonely, and this was the best thing that I could do. Now, I say Joseph could have presented a powerful excuse for being unfaithful, but he did not. But not only that. Now, some of us, and we've been told by psychologists and psychiatrists that our background actually determines our future, that some of the things that you see in us, the way we speak, the way we handle issues, our anger skills, how to manage our anger, is also affected by the way we grew up. Now, we know that we have no privilege to choose our parents. None of us have a privilege to choose the background. The background I have is my background. That I'm in South Africa and I'm black and I'm at this height, there's nothing I can do. That I was born by this set of parents, there's nothing I can do. Joseph could have used that as an excuse that I come from a dysfunctional family. So you should expect that from me. You should expect that when there's a woman that wants to embrace me, what else can I do? Because my background, I lost my mother when I was still a young child. And I did not have the love of my mother. So any woman that wants to show love, that's a good excuse for me because it is my weakness. It is my background. You can blame it on my background. Now, Joseph, true, he came from a dysfunctional family. I mean, think about it. He had one father and one mother and 3 half-mothers. But when his own mother died, he was left with 3 mothers that are not his mothers. Now, mothers are not very kind to those who are not their children. And so Joseph, even though we may not read it in the story, may have had some negative experiences growing up in a family where all the brothers had their mothers, but him and his brother did not have a mother. Just the father. They shared the father. So that was a very dysfunctional family. I mean, there were wars there, like Second World War, Third World War, in that family. He grew up in that family. But we find him 10 years later in a foreign land standing for God. He did not use his background as a launching pad for failure, for a launching pad for disaster, and say, what else can I do? My background, my father, my mother, my brothers. No, he stood. You know why he stood? Because the Lord was with him. You know, when the Lord is with you, somehow I think when the Lord is with an individual, he's able also to massage your background and adjust your background. In other words, deal with the effects coming from your background. Actually, what God does, he transforms your background, even though he may not change it. In other words, he makes you find lessons from your background, things you can build on, so that the very negative background, the very background that somehow disadvantages you, becomes a stepping stone. It becomes this thing that propels you, that moves you forward. Now, there are people who come from well-to-do families who did very well. You remember when you were at school, Some of us will be walking with no shoes, with no jersey, with no this. And there were these who had scarves, they had gloves, they had everything that covers the ears and the nose, and everything that is exposed will be covered. And you look for some of those in life today, you don't find them. I don't know, they cover themselves to a disaster. You don't find them. Comfort at times may not be what you need to be successful in life. So it doesn't matter what life throws at you. When the Lord connects with you, God can use your past to make it brighter. He can use your dark past and bring light into it. And you can actually be a servant and a disciple and help others who come from the very same past and say, listen, I come from the very same past. I can help you. I've learned lessons. Now here's the text I've given you. I'm going to give you this text again, 1 Corinthians 10:13, because there are three things that are powerful that we should always remember. Number one, it doesn't matter what background we are coming from. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, every temptation that has overtaken you is common to men. You cannot stand up and say, I'm the only one in this world who lost his mother. I'm the only one in this world who was born, never saw his father. I'm the only one in this world who grew up poor. There are many people. Your situation is not unique. It may be unique because it's yours, but this happens to men. This befalls everyone who's born. So you cannot use that as an excuse and say, because I grew up hungry, therefore I'm a thief. I should be a thief. Because there are others also grew up very hungry, but they are not thieves. So you cannot blame your behavior and link it to a circumstance or a situation in your life. And God says, there is no temptation that has befallen you, that has overtaken you, which is not common to men. But the second one says, to those who walk with the Lord, here is a promise. God is faithful. He will not allow you to be tempted above what you can bear. I like that. If you face joblessness now, if you face a life where you have lost your partner, where you don't know where your children are, and you can sit there and say, this is too much. This is a cross I cannot bear. Remember 1 Corinthians 10:13, it says, God is faithful. God is faithful. He will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you can bear. In other words, God looks at your strength. He looks at your courage. He looks at the level of your faithfulness. He looks at temptation that the devil throws, and he says, no, this is too much for my child. I will not allow you. And I like that text. It says he will not allow, which means that God can allow certain things to come to your life because he knows how he's going to use that to better your life, to make you progress even further. But the devil cannot throw anything in your path before the Lord can examine it. It's true. You look at the life of Job. He went there and he said to Job, he said to God, can I do this? Can I do that? He was asking permission to go and tempt Job, and God could only allow him to do that which he knows for a fact that Joseph will be able to bear. And the last one, which you should always remember when you face temptation, the last one is that for every temptation that comes your way, God will provide a way of escape. Not only will you be able to bear it, but you will be able to escape. Look at that life of Joseph. When that woman was all over Joseph, God provided a way of escape. The door was open, or at least it was not locked. So Joseph could run out and get out of the kitchen where there was too much heat and be free. So God will allow you, even when you think you are cornered, even when you think, now what am I going to do? If the Lord knows that here my child is not going to be able to bear this, he'll open a way for you. So what am I trying to say? I'm saying if you are faced with temptation right now, the first thing you should understand and you should appreciate is you have no excuse. Don't try and look for reasons why you should fall. I'm a black child. I was born in South Africa. I grew under apartheid, so I must be a criminal. No, there is no excuse. You can stand. And the three things that you should always remember, it happens to everyone. The situations we face, not only that, God will give you the strength to bear it. Not only that, he'll make a way for you so that you can escape. May God bless you.